guys, this is Kelsey from Briar Farm. Today we're here in the pen with our piglet Kunekunes. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about things you might want to consider if you think a Kunekune might be right for your family. So when you're getting started with pigs, a lot of people don't realize that just like goats and cows, pigs are also herd animals. So every pig needs a pig. They need a buddy to feel happy and satisfied and calm. And honestly, it really does make a difference. So every pig needs a pig. So if you're getting started and you don't have any already, you need at least 2 to start with. You're going to also want to be thinking about why you want Kunekunes. So this is a breed of pig that a lot of people do keep as pets because, why wouldn't you? But they have excellent personalities and temperaments. They do make really good pets. And if that's the kind of Kune you want, probably your best buy is a barrow. And a barrow is a castrated male. So it's a pig that should never get any of the breeding urges. They should stay docile and friendly, and they won't come into heat, and they are much cheaper than registered breeding stock. So if you want a pet Kune, I would buy from a registered herd, but get an unregistered barrow from them. So that way you know you're getting healthy pigs that aren't inbred. If you're interested in breeding, then you need to make sure that you have a pig for every pig. So you don't want to get teen moms. So if you're starting with young piglets, I recommend you get 2 gilts and an unrelated boar. And honestly, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get 2 unrelated boars, so that everybody has a friend all the time.
Or a barrow.
Or a barrow, yeah, to keep your boar buddy. Okay, so Kunekunes need different food than our other pigs here on the farm do. Our big pigs, we feed like a regular 16% protein stuff we get from our local co-op. But the Kunes need something with a little bit higher nutrition and I think higher in oils. So we feed our pigs Purina sow and pig feed. And we mix that about 2 parts Purina sow and pig feed with 1 part alfalfa pellets. And that's something that none of our other pigs here get, but the Kunes really do well on it.
We used to put sunflower seeds in the mix too, but $30 a bag isn't economical anymore.
Yeah, it got too costly. So the littler pigs, for some reason, are prone to dry skin. So we do buy like a flaxseed supplement, so they get flaxseed meal mixed in with their chow too.
Yeah, that's like $5.
Yeah, that's minimal. All right, so terminology you might want to know. A barrow, I told you, is a castrated male pig. A boar or a boarling is an intact male. A gilt is the term for a female pig that hasn't had a litter yet. Once she's had her first litter, then you call her a sow. One of the traits that's characteristic of a Kunekune is having wattles on their chins. Of course, they've all got their faces buried. Yeah. Gingers are both wattled, right?
Yeah.
Come here. All right. So this little beauty is double wattled, and that's a trait that's characteristic for Kunekunes, but not all Kunes are wattled. So we do have some, our Moira Rose and a couple of her piglets have no wattles. This is Chunks.
That's Chunks.
So this one here has no wattles. Oh, you're a no wattles. So for gilts, it's not a deal breaker if they have no wattles, but you want to make sure that your boars all have the wattles. That must be something that's sex linked. So it's more of a determining factor if your boar has the wattles or not.
So some of the breeding considerations for the Kunekunes, it's different than like your large breed pigs where you can start breeding them at 8 months old. For Kunekunes, you really have to look at the conformation of the pig, and really I think the minimum's around 13 months. I think that's when 13 or 14 months, that's when we bred ours. And then a lot of people wait till they're a year and a half before they breed them. But if their conformation is good and they look like they're like fully mature sized, then we went ahead and bred both of ours, and they farrowed just fine with starting them at the 13 or 14 months, whenever we did. If you do buy a gilt and a boar at the same time, then you want to separate them at around 5 months of age, because they'll form like a companionship type relationship with each other. And we've heard of people that have kept them together, and when they are at breeding age for the gilts anyway, and they separate them later, they won't breed. So
I've heard that from more than one person, which is interesting.
yeah. So we do recommend getting a gilt and a boar at the same age, so that they do mature at basically around the same time and able to breed when they do reach the correct size. I don't think it would be an issue if you bought a young gilt and then later bought a mature boar to breed or two. But I think a lot of people buy them at the same time most often. Mm-hmm. So when we are breeding for selling registered Kunekune piglets and selling those as registered in order to maintain the integrity of the breed. There were only 5 importations of Kunekunes beginning in 1996, and then the last one being in 2012. So some of those came directly from New Zealand, some came from the UK. But there have only been 5 importations total to the U.S. So they are still considered rare in the United States. The AKKPS is where we register our piglets, or our pigs, and they have a website where you can actually trial breeding. So once you get the registration numbers, you plug that in and you can get the inbreeding coefficient. So Kelsey can talk about why that's important.
So inbreeding is really important to keep in mind, because when a population or herd becomes too inbred, there are real consequences. So you can end up with more congenital problems. You can have piglets that have lower survival rates, and mothers who are not as good of mothers. So it really does make a measurable impact on your farm. So when you're looking at those COI values, coefficient of inbreeding, you want to shoot for them to be under 12. Under 10 is better, and under 5 is like, whoa, that's amazing. And it's really difficult to find pigs that have that level, that little inbreeding from what we've been able to get our hands on. But that's something to keep in mind when you're buying breeding animals. You want to make sure that when you breed them together, their babies won't be too inbred.
So a little bit about the registration process. I'll talk about that since I did all of the grunt work behind that, because it is a bit of a process when you're registering the Kunes. First, we evaluated which Kunes we thought were suitable for breeders. We evaluated the teat line, which I'll have some video overlaying this. Counted the number of teats, were they even? The Wattles, any non-wattled males were all automatically not put into our registration process. After you, or while you're evaluating, it's really a good idea to take pictures, because especially with the 2 litters that we had, they started intermingling, and then like some of the black boars anyway, I wouldn't know who was who if I didn't take pictures.
Yeah.
So taking good notes while doing so as well, while you're doing that, so you can then market that pig.
Which animals should be registered and which animals should not. Any animals that leave your farm that are able to be bred should be registered, so that we can help manage inbreeding, right? And we want to contribute to producing really healthy Kunekune piglets. So if there's an animal that we don't feel like is good enough to be registered, then she shouldn't leave our farm, because we want to make sure that that animal doesn't get bred. So we will register all of our gilts that we feel are of breeding quality, and we'll sell them or keep them as registered gilts. For the males, we'll do the same. So the males that are of a quality to be boars, we will try and find homes for as boars. But failing to find breeding homes, which, given the number of males that come out of a litter is going to happen to us, we'll just castrate them, and they can be feeder barrows.
Or pets.
Or pets, yeah. But we wouldn't sell an unregistered boar, because that's just sending them out into the black unknown. We want to make sure that our pigs get bred to other registered pigs, so we can make sure they're not being bred to too closely related individuals.
For anyone that's new to Kunekunes, they are a pricey animal.
The point is, they're expensive for a reason, right? There aren't very many that have been brought into the US. Breeding them responsibly takes a lot of effort and is costly for us. We have a lot of money invested in these Kunekune pigs, and we need to make sure that we protect the quality of the animal that's coming off our farm, and also the quality of the herd in general in our area, right? If we're selling unregistered, low quality animals and they're getting bred, and the market in our area gets flooded with cheap, unhealthy Kunekunes, then it's going to leave a bad taste in everybody's mouths for the breed, and that's not good for anyone or the pigs.
You can easily have at least $150 wrapped up in vaccines, registration fees, litter notification fees for registered Kunekunes. So,
and that's more than or about what we'll sell our regular feeder pigs for, like our Tamworths and our Herefords that are unregistered. Yeah. So Kunes are special for a reason.
But we've seen Kunes go as high as $900,000 a piglet. Mm-hmm. We don't have any of that standard at this time.
I think we both agree though, right, Mike? Given the choice, if we had to pick just one breed of pig to raise, it would be the Kunes for sure.
Yeah.
Their temperaments are just incredible. They're easy to work with, easy to handle. I even have to trim their toenails and they just stand there for it. They're such good pigs.
While you're evaluating, or after you evaluate, you send the AKKPS a litter notification indicating that you had piglets born. You submit information about the registration number of the sire and dam, and it takes a couple weeks before you get the registration numbers for your piglets back. But after you have that piglet registration number, you then have to pull tail or leg hairs and send that to UC Davis for parental verification. So it's all the DNA is stored in the database, and they verify that that piglet is from that sire and from that dam. Did you get it?
Yeah, I think that's just something to push it out, like a bolus falling gun.
Yep.
Sweet.
Worked.
All done. What a big girl. Now we need her hairs, right?
The verification comes back, then you can either register that pig into your farm's name if you're retaining it, or you can then transfer that ownership to the new owner and put that pig in the new owner's name.
When you buy unregistered Kunekune piglets, you dilute the value of registered stock.
Buying the unregistered, like Kelsey said earlier, there's risks for having too closely related bloodlines. Not knowing the lineage of those pigs can lead to adverse effects in the offspring if you do breed them, or problems with the pig as it matures. Another question we had was about predators. Our Kunes are in this little pen here. This is their winter home. We often just let them roam around our backyard, which is fenced in with like a 4-foot tall fence, but we have, like, we call it zombie fencing. We're like zombie proofed here. We got electric wire and then field fencing that surrounds that. But in the backyard here, it's just a cattle panel that's cut in half, and then I tried to make it cute by adding a little picket or white fence boards here, which the kids and pigs eventually tore up. But we don't really worry about predators here in the backyard because we have basically the entire property fenced. Some of the predators that we do have would be coyotes. There's hawks and eagles and stuff like that, but I would highly doubt they'd be able to pick up one of those chunks.
They're awfully heavy. I've seen eagles flying off with bigger prizes, but I don't know. I think the likelihood is extremely low.
Yeah, for bird prey. But once the Kunes are full size, they would definitely hold their own against a couple coyotes.
Especially if mom's around.
Yeah, especially if they're a new mom or whatever. The boar, he's probably close to 300 pounds, and I can see Roland holding his own. So that's not something that we really worry about here. But we have seen coyotes, and knock on wood, we haven't had any predator kills on our farm, other than years ago we had raccoons.
Oh, get our chickens.
Get into our chicken coop.
All right. So these are some of our thoughts that we share with people who contact us who are looking to get started with coonies. So we thought it would be a great idea to share it with all of you. If you want to know more about how we do things here on Sweet Briar Farm, please subscribe so you can see more fun on the farm.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.